Together, we're making light and fluffy chocolate pancakes with an easy chocolate sauce. The pancakes are gluten and grain-free with almond and cassava flour and get a protein boost from protein powder and a secret ingredient. Then we're taking these to another level with an instant chocolate sauce with additional protein. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier, all-natural recipes, then you are in the right place. Now, to make these chocolate pancakes, you'll want to start with a food processor or an upright blender, and that's because we need to mix together our cottage cheese and make that texture nice and smooth. So I'm going to start with 4 eggs and half a cup of cottage cheese. And you can use large curd, small curd, non-fat, low-fat, whatever your preference. But I prefer to use the full fat for the most creaminess. Next, we'll add 3 tablespoons of oil, and avocado oil is my favorite. Next, we'll add 2 tablespoons of cane sugar. We can also use regular sugar, and this will help to balance the slight bitterness of cocoa powder. Next, we'll add 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, and that just helps you enhance the chocolate flavor. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'll put this on my base and blend it until the cottage cheese is smooth and creamy. So in only 15 seconds, I no longer see any of that cottage cheese texture. Now we can add our dry ingredients, which includes 1 cup of almond flour. This is going to add amazing flavor and protein. And 1/3 of a cup of cassava flour, but you could also use tapioca flour, but that is just pure carbs, whereas the cassava flour has a little more fiber as well as iron and protein in it. And this will help the pancakes bake light and fluffy. Next, I'll add 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And for even more protein, I'm going to add 1 scoop of chocolate protein powder. And I've included a link in the description below of my favorite brand. Then I'll add 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon to help that chocolate flavor, and half a teaspoon of salt. And then we'll mix this together on low just until it's all incorporated. And now you can see that it's a little bit on the thick side, which is why we're going to add some milk. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of milk, and you can use any kind that you like, but almond milk is my favorite. And we'll put on our lid and just blend it till combined. It will be a little bit thicker than a typical pancake batter, and that's because of the cottage cheese. And to make scooping the batter a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to a mixing bowl. And now that I have this in a bowl, I can tell that it's still a little bit on the thick side. So we're going to go ahead and add another tablespoon of milk. Now, if you notice the batter starts to get a little bit thicker as you've already started baking your pancakes, you can just add a little bit more milk and mix it in to maintain the perfect consistency. Now, to cook our pancakes, I'm going to use a non-stick pan, and I'm going to turn my heat to a medium-low. Now, because these have the cottage cheese, we want to cook them on a slightly lower temperature, and we want to find that perfect balance between having the outside nice and toasted, but then the inside cooked through. So if you find that your pancakes are toasting too quickly on the outside and not quite setting on the inside, then just turn your heat down a little bit. I promise a little patience will go a long ways. I'm just going to add about 1/4 of a cup of batter to the middle of my frying pan. And I'll kind of spread it around with my cup. And as soon as we start to see a few little bubbles forming around the edges, we can go ahead and get our spatula underneath our pancake and flip it over. And then we have this perfectly toasted pancake that's going to continue to get nice and fluffy. And then as soon as the bottom is toasty, we'll go ahead and remove it from our pan and continue with the rest of our pancakes. Now we have these gorgeous stacks of about 20 chocolate protein pancakes. And we'll go ahead and set these aside while we make our chocolate sauce. To make this really simple chocolate sauce, we're going to start by adding cottage cheese. And I'm going to use the chopper cup with my immersion blender, but you can also use a food processor or an upright blender. So I'm going to add half a cup of cottage cheese, and you could use small curd or large curd, non-fat, low-fat, whatever your preference. I really like to use the full-fat variety for the most creaminess. Next, we're going to add half a cup of maple syrup, and you'll want to use pure maple syrup for the best nutritional value. Then we're going to add 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and about 2 pinches of salt. And then we'll simply blend it together until it is smooth and creamy. Well, that looks perfect. Now we have this gorgeous, rich and creamy chocolate sauce, which I think needs a quality control sample. That is so good. If you'd like it to be a little bit sweeter, you can go ahead and add a little bit more maple syrup. Well, now we can assemble our chocolate protein pancake. I'm going to start with a pancake and then spread on some of our delicious protein chocolate sauce. And this is optional, but I'm going to add just a few little slices of banana because they taste amazing with chocolate. And just a little sprinkle of some mini chocolate chips, because why not? And make sure we get a bite with all three. That is so good. That is delicious. Seriously, protein has never tasted this good. As soon as you bite in, you get the light, fluffy texture of the pancake, which just has the right amount of chocolate flavor to it. And then getting that chocolate sauce just makes it rich and creamy. And I love the addition of the fresh banana and those little mini chocolate chips, which makes it even more delicious. Now, of course, this is a treat and needs to be eaten in moderation, but I love knowing that I'm eating something with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm gonna feel just as good even after I eat it. And I love being able to share my creatively healthy recipes so that you can enjoy them too. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. I've included a link to the full recipe and it's in the video description below, and that takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.